Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And this is your boy JTG, aka Jay the God.
Whether you are down the street or anywhere in the Northeast, fans, the day has finally come as we prepare to celebrate 20 years of Boston Wrestling MWF. All-inclusive VIP packages and tickets are on sale for our Back to the 80s WrestleFest 20th anniversary. It is going to be a happening, a VIP exclusive Q&A with the great 80s legends, an autograph and photo fan fest, and professional wrestling so hot it's going to blow the roof off of Memorial Hall. You can get your tickets at Boston Wrestling beginning in 3, 2, 1, go.
Wrestling fans, it's time to rock. WWE legend Marty Jeanetti of the Rockers returns for 3 big nights, Wednesday, September the 1st through Friday, September the 3rd. Marty will be taping historical Wrestling Insider episodes, live specials, Insider autograph signings, support wrestling superstars, pre-order autographed 8x10s now over at bostonwrestling.com. This September, get your sunglasses ready. It's time to party with Marty.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to almost the rebranded edition of Wrestling Insider. Stern but fair. I'm Dan Marty. In a moment, we'll be joined by the former and first Boston Wrestling MWF Heavyweight Champion, now on the board of directors and co-host of this fine program, Mr. Tiger Mulligan. We decided to test the waters a little bit like the rest of our talk shows during the week. Instead of premiering the show at 7, why not bring you the Tiger at 10, baby? He can really maul a little later at night. You can ask some of the women that used to work behind the counters at hotels that he'd stay at during his championship days about his mauling after 10 p.m. But Tiger, it is a pleasure to have you with us. Big week here in the world of professional wrestling. Hopefully, knock on wood, we are coming off of a very successful SummerSlam 88 watch-along earlier tonight at 7 o'clock, but that, as we're taping before the watch-along, remains to be seen. How is the world of Mulligan?
Well, you say that I was mauling them. You sure it wasn't the other way around?
Well, I remember a 2-on-3 situation one time, but I don't know, even at 10 o'clock if you want that one told.
Oh my gosh, I don't recall any of that, but maybe I was just
a little inferno going on, baby. You know what I mean?
all right.
Now you remember.
Different podcast for a different time. It's good to be here. I gotta go.
You gotta go. We're already done. All right. We'll see you next week, folks.
Oh wow, what another Stern edition of Stern but Fair. But yeah, it's been another wild.
Well, the funny thing is, can I add one more thing before we continue?
I sure can. Yeah.
At the end, you had to wind up being fair because remember there was one that kind of felt left out.
Oh.
and both of you had to be fair at that point. So
hey,
you know what? I respect that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm always there to look out for everybody else.
All right, back to we got a crazy itinerary of topics to discuss this week.
I mean, but you know what? It's actually not even, to me, it's not crazy anymore. It's becoming the norm.
Crazy is the new normal, yeah.
Yeah, it all started back with the pandemic when our new normal became, our world was flipped upside down. And it just seems like WWE is really trying to flip the world upside down once again. And maybe perhaps, like I've been saying on here on Stern But Fair, where they're looking to, I don't know, sell the company down the road, or they're looking to move Vince out with some power plays. But it almost looks like they're going backwards and trying to not so much get rid of the NXT brand, but go back to their old ways of maybe putting it on the network, not having it on national TV, kind of like the OVW days.
You know, there's a lot of breaking about this whole NXT thing today as we're taping this show, and
yeah.
I have mixed emotions on it. You know, is it the worst idea in the world to try to do supposedly what the rumor mill is saying. They don't want any more midgets. They want box office attractions. That's what they want NXT to develop. That's what they want NXT to push. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, to be honest. I've said many times, I think Johnny Gargano is outstanding and Adam Cole is outstanding. But I think in a WWE ring, it's not going to look like it looks in NXT. But on the flip side, why not go both ways? Why not make your NXT developmental for the future? Go with that. No more midgets, no more guys in their 30s. Go for the box office attractions. But if USA is going to pay you $750,000 a week, why not have a quote-unquote smart fan wrestling show with the smaller guys that you're not going to put on the main roster on Raw or SmackDown and do anything with other than job them out? No one watches 205 Live. Why not use the NXT TV show as that platform for smart fans? Almost like how a movie company has different movies they release. Some are rated PG, some are rated PG-13, some are rated R. Why not try and do that? Just have a unique brand that is of smaller guys, almost like what 205 Live should have been in theory.
Yeah, I was going to actually say exactly what you're saying right now. Get rid of all of the guys that you want to, quote unquote, bring up. Either keep them in the PC until they're ready to put them on TV or whatnot. And the guys that you don't want to bring up, continue paying whatever you're paying them, and just keep them there. And if they finish out their careers, they're great. If they just get a little bit of buzz about them, great. But I don't think you need to kind of disband NXT and kind of go back the opposite way. In a sense, you can still do that by just getting those recruits to the PC and just keep them as exactly what they are, as recruits. And then when they're TV ready or show ready, house show ready, however you want to do it, that's when you bring them up. And you don't even need to build them on the NXT brand. Just keep it a completely separate brand. And if you want your smaller guys on there, cool. You want to put your 205 Live guys on there, cool. And it's the complete alternative is like what you're saying.
I mean, look at some of the top guys in NXT right now. How would they look in a WWE ring? I guess, Kyle O'Reilly is one that I think is absolutely superb. I would love to book Kyle O'Reilly if he were ever available. But how would that man, with his physique, his persona, how would that fit on Raw or SmackDown? I think he'd be a guy that would either be squashed consistently, be on WWE Main Event on WWE Network consistently, or be in catering consistently until he was released. And that's not a slight against his talent. I'm just looking at it the way WWE seems to want to present talent such as he at this point.
I think what the detriment to NXT was their last takeover event with Karrion Kross, who is he's a big guy in there with all of those other talents and top NXT talents, and you saw a dramatic difference between the two. And I think that turned heads, that opened up eyes. And I think that's what got the ball rolling to what's going on right now, to where you're right, they can't bring those guys up. As talented as they are, they might get over, but I think in the long grand scheme of things, it just wouldn't work out. You can only have one Rey Mysterio. You can't have 20 of them.
Exactly.
You can't have 20 of them.
We agree 110% on that. When Kross was in there with those guys, it looked like it was Karrion Kross was in there with a bunch of little kids. And I think you're talking about that 100%. Five-way from the TakeOver pay-per-view, or however you want, a special event, however you want to describe it. And again, that's not attacking their ability in the ring, but
not at all.
As far as what WWE wants to present as a WWE superstar on Raw, SmackDown, and so on, I don't think they're looking for the tiny guys. And apparently with the rumors that have really hit social media hard and heavy today, they really don't want tiny midgets, as they call them, which I perceive to be guys probably 5'9" and under. I think 5'10" might be the cutoff. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fergal, Finn Balor has done exceptionally well, and I think he's about 5'10". Maybe that's the cutoff. I don't know. And at the same time, I'm sure we'll dance back to what we're talking about now. But earlier in the week, there was this major talk about how Adam Cole's contract was up, and they were ready to break the bank and offer him some big money not to jump to AEW.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest.
What do you do with Adam Cole on Raw or SmackDown? I think he looks like a very thin, very good talent, but on Raw or SmackDown, he looks like a very slim, thin, smaller guy.
Yeah, I don't think you can actually move him up, and I'm a big fan of what he does. I think he's a great talker. He could talk people into the seats, but I just think it's a different dynamic when it comes to Raw and SmackDown.
Yep.
And I just don't know if he fits that mold, especially as a heel. I don't know. I just don't see it. Maybe it was a little different when it was the whole faction together because it's the numbers game at that point. But you're right. I mean, he doesn't have a physique. He's a green bean. I mean, he's a twig. It's not knocking his talent. He's a very talented guy. And a lot of those talents are. I even look at somebody like Johnny Gargano or even Tommaso Ciampa. They're all great talents, and they're spectacular guys in the ring. But I just don't think it's WWE's always been the land of the giants, and those guys just really, as much as we want them to fit in, I just don't think they fit in. And that goes, and that goes to say with Buddy Murphy as well. He's got a different type of physique. He's a jacked up guy, but you saw a difference even standing next to Seth Rollins. It just doesn't fit that mold of what WWE's looking for. And as long as Vince is there and Bruce Pritchard is in charge, I just don't think you're going to see those little guys come up to where the land of the giants are.
Do you think over the past let's just go 5 or 6 years, do you think it's part of the reason why we've seen a decline in popularity in the company, where they have been presenting smaller and smaller guys and I'll give Tony Atlas credit as much as we have some heat right now. He says if it's someone that especially if you ever meet them in person, they're not impressive in the least compared to the superstars of yesteryear, so to speak.
So I agree in that sense of, I think back to when I was a kid and, was running around as a Hulkamaniac, those guys were just so larger than life. And, when you have to kind of look up at somebody in awe, whether it's a heel or a babyface, you just know that they could do damage. And the reason, one of the main reasons why Hulk Hogan got so over was because you feared the opponents he was going against. You thought Earthquake was going to gobble him up or Andre the Giant was going to gobble him up, and you paid a ticket to make sure that didn't happen. These days it's more of a move set and who could do a different move other than, like a flip or a flop or a fly or whatever the case might be.
Cirque du Soleil, like in Vegas. Yeah.
It's there is spots for that on the show, but it seems to be coming more and more within every match, especially in an NXT brand or even an AEW brand. And I just don't think people want to see that. And is that the reason for the decline? I don't think it's the sole reason for the decline. I think storyline has a lot to do with it, and compelling characters have a lot to do with it.
The women.
Yeah, you're always going to go back to that.
Well,
no matter what.
Here's and I want to be fair but stern right here. I've said many, many times when I've said the women have been overexposed, I've said they're not the only reason that there's been such a massive decline. But when you go back,
it's definitely part of it. Yeah.
When you go back to that 1 week when Sasha, Becky, and who was the other one? Charlotte were all called up at the same time. The Raw was at 3.5 million people a week, and now it's at about half of that. So, I mean, again, it's not only the women's fault. It's not only that they have smaller wrestlers that aren't gigantic. It's not only bad storylines. It is some combination of everything, I think, that's part of the turn-off and the turnover of the fan base. But I don't necessarily think the mindset is wrong that, okay, let's not go manhunting for guys that are 5'6", like Leon Ruff. I mean, I thought that, again, we'd maybe jumping around a little bit with all the releases that took place this week.
That's right.
But, I mean, that guy was an embarrassment. I mean, why would you put him on television? Nothing against the guy. I mean, he was very athletic. He could be a fine human being, but as far as a professional wrestler goes, I wouldn't book him on a show that we have done at Memorial Hall like we do Saturday night, November the 13th, when we go back to the 80s. Tickets on sale now at bostonwrestling.com. The VIP packages are flying, where you can see and meet real superstars and legends up close and personal, like Jake the Snake Roberts, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Axe and Smash Demolition, Marty Jannetty, and a host of others to be announced before a hot night of live in-ring action. But anyway, I wouldn't put Leon on that show.
No, and it's funny because, like, think about those guys you just mentioned. Even somebody like Jake the Snake, who was, we're talking about Adam Cole being slender and lean. Jake the Snake was never a jacked up guy. He was always lean and slender, but he was tall and he looked
like a man.
Part. Yes, and it's
not to say that Adam Cole doesn't look like a man, but I mean, there's a lot of those smaller guys that don't look very quote unquote manly.
Right.
Is that a way to put it?
Yes, no, and I 100% agree with you. And, back to your point about, maybe with the declining ratings and whatnot, and even before the pandemic with ticket sales, am I going to go buy a ticket to watch somebody in a fight that I know I could, or I feel that I could beat up myself? No, I'm not. Am I going to go watch somebody that's going to, fight somebody that it's going to be a struggle and this whole... I don't even know it, like a compelling storyline, and to where you have somebody who's 6'5" walking down the ring, taking on somebody else at 6'5". It's almost a movie at that point in time, and it's almost not real. I think that's what people want to see, and I don't blame WWE for wanting to kind of go back to that a little bit. I don't, not one bit.
And to me, I scratch my head. You look at, again, there was some buyer's remorse as far as the amount goes, but I mean, even Strowman, why get rid of him completely? Why not save him as just a special television attraction? But when you send him out on the road, he's certainly someone that's very physically impressive to see.
Now, did they get rid of him before they took their trip down to the Performance Center to scout out talent?
Yes.
So I think they're probably remorseful now. I don't think Vince and Bruce Pritchard or even Johnny Ace at that point knew what they actually had down there. And I think when they went down there, they really took a look around.
Maybe they were in shock.
I think that's what it was, to be perfectly honest with you. And even the elders for that bit, like you talk about somebody like a Mercedes Martinez who just got released, who I thought was a very good talent, could do some stuff not so much on the main roster maybe, but more for NXT to help get people over. But I think her age, I don't know if she's 40 yet, but I know she's getting up there.
Yeah, she's right around our age, yeah.
Yeah, so they're looking at that now and they're saying, okay, these guys their shelf lives aren't going to be until they're 50. So let's go the other opposite way. And I can't say, like, listen, I'm only 5'9", 5'10".
That's it?
So it sucks that...
You're only 5'9"?
Yeah, about 5'10"-ish, really? 5'11" maybe. Yeah.
I would have guessed closer to 6 feet, but what do I know?
But that's what's funny about it is, I guess maybe there was the way that I carried myself where you thought that, and maybe some of these guys just don't know how to do that. I think back to a Macho Man Randy Savage, right? Not the tallest guy in the world when it came to the other guys that he was in the ring with, but the way he carried himself and the way he kind of walked on his toes and things like that, he just did different things to make it look like he could compete. And I don't think these guys know how to do that.
And that he could kick the shit out of you.
Yes, exactly. Or if he was a heel, he may have been that chicken shit heel who, you wanted to see him get his ass kicked. It just was, they just knew how to work. I don't think that these guys these days really know how to work, and it shows. It really does show, unfortunately.
It's strange that I have such mixed emotions about it. I think it's almost like, okay, finally, they're finally realizing one of the issues and one of the problems that they have within the company. But at the same time, it's almost like they want to completely, well, again, this is rumor mill. If the rumor mill is true, they want to completely abandon ship on what is something that a lot of fans enjoy. I tell you this, some of the NXT house shows I have been to are some of the better events I've ever enjoyed in my life.
Yeah, and I'm all for keeping it around. I just think it should be the alternative. Don't try to groom, don't try to groom the guys on NXT to get brought up to Raw or SmackDown. keep those guys there. Sign them to those exclusive NXT contracts. And put it in their brain. Hey, listen, you're coming to NXT, and you're not going to Raw or SmackDown. We're not grooming you. Like, this is what it is. The guys in the Performance Center, those are your monsters. Those are the guys and girls that you need to work with, and keep them off TV until you put your vignettes together and your debuts together and put them on TV properly.
That's how I would approach it. I would take the ones that I think have potential to be the proverbial WWE superstar, and I just keep them away from anything NXT. They train at WWE Performance Center until the time comes. They're either going to sink or swim. They're either going to become a Raw or a SmackDown superstar, or they just don't cut it and they're going to get released. As far as the Garganos and the Coles and so on that they think are so small and so slight that they won't make it as a quote-unquote WWE superstar, don't get rid of them, because they still have a lot of value, and they've proven they have a lot of value. I mean, Undisputed Era, as small as they were, they were top 10 merchandise sellers for the entire company. So, I mean, that's not something you flush down the toilet completely. I think there's a way you can keep NXT around. Just don't push it as hard as Raw or SmackDown, because you're certainly getting a fraction each week as far as television revenue goes for NXT compared to what they're getting from USA for Raw and from Fox for SmackDown. But I think it would be a shame if they just decided and I don't know if USA would want to totally
I don't think they would,
disbanded it, because it still does for cable TV a pretty decent TV rating, and it's relatively inexpensive. I mean, I think I might not be 100% accurate, but it's in the ballpark of only $750,000 a week
that they're getting,
that they pay,
or that it costs them.
No, that USA pays WWE for NXT.
Now, do you know if you probably don't know exact numbers or even ratings and things like that, but how much, if you had to ballpark a figure, how much do you think it's got to cost them to create and make the TV show? Say $125,000 a week?
WWE you're talking about?
Yeah.
I would say NXT is pretty cheap, considering it's taped out of the same location every week. They don't have to travel with it. Everybody, even the production people, I think they're all pretty much local in. It's not Orlando. What's the name of the city? Winter Garden, I believe, is where a lot of them live and work out of. So, I mean, I think it's very inexpensive to produce.
So probably we'll say, for benefit's sake, $100,000 a week to produce that show. We're saying talent included and all that kind of stuff.
The big question to me is who's paying for the satellite, because I know that's awfully expensive.
Yeah.
If WWE's paying for the satellite time, that cost just went up an awful lot. If USA is paying for the satellite time, not so much.
But even still, so say for instance,
I think they're making a nice profit off of NXT.
I was going to say they have to be making some kind of profit off of it, because they're coming off of they were doing it on the network every week, where all the cost fell on them, and they weren't really seeing any return on it.
Right.
So anything nowadays,
it was a network tease, so to speak.
Yeah. So I mean, they're making money off of it. I don't know anything about the ratings. I never look them up. You would know better than I would, but I'm sure it's got to be doing some kind of rating on a Tuesday night. There's nothing else to watch on a Tuesday that I know of. So it's got to be doing something. So why would the USA Network want to get rid of it? I don't know.
I mean, it's had, not many, but I mean, there were weeks where it did over 1 million people, which is a fantastic cable television rating. Now, I believe, I'm sure there'll be some that have Google that'll crucify me, but I mean, more in the ballpark of 600,000, which is still a pretty good cable television
rating. Not a bad number.
No, not at all.
That's not a bad number. And you're not going up against many sporting events, especially these days. I mean, maybe they got the I don't know, what are we coming up into? The tail end of summer, so you're going to have the baseball playoffs coming up and things like that. But I don't know. Maybe the Olympics, they had the Olympics going on, but that's coming to an end. I don't know. I mean, I think, the crazy part about it.
I've read in just the regular newspaper, the Olympics ratings have been way down compared to past years.
Oh, yeah.
So it hasn't had too much of a... it's not something that I'd go out of my way to watch, but that's just me. But, it hasn't where the Olympic ratings are down, it hasn't hurt wrestling as much as it has in past years, so that's a good thing. But I think that I'm going to guess, and this isn't anything that I was ever told by anyone that I talked to in WWE, but I'm going to give an educated guess that they probably thought the NXT ratings were going to really jump when they moved to Tuesday night without the quote-unquote competition from AEW, and that really hasn't been the case.
Yeah, but why would they think that? I mean, they weren't beating AEW by any means.
Just a night with no competition, the fans, could just come and stay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I would think the opposite. I would think that they would at the very least be doing the same numbers that they were doing on Wednesday, maybe with a small increase. But I can't. I think people need a break, and I think one of the breaks during the week is going to be that Tuesday night time slot. They're not going to do too much, so. I don't know.
You know what?
There's just too much on right now to watch. I think if people aren't going to watch something, it's going to be that.
I agree with you. I think if you look at the 4 quote-unquote main primetime shows each week, if you're going to skip one of them, it's likely going to be NXT. Yeah, compared to Raw, SmackDown, and AEW Dynamite. But then you have the debut of Rampage kicking off this Friday night. And are there going to be a lot of people going out of their way after the first few weeks that want a second primetime AEW show at 10 o'clock at night after already having 2 hours of Dynamite and 432 hours each week of AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation, where they have 12, 13, 14, 15 matches sometimes?
Well, do you think they're even going to have viewers for going after 2 hours of SmackDown? You think you're going to get people to sit through, say, 4 hours of live TV? I don't know. That's tough, especially a Friday night.
I think they're probably going to do better than people imagine for the first 4 to 6 weeks. And then I think it's going to set in. It's like, well, Jesus Christ, how much wrestling can I watch?
Yeah, I agree. I'll be perfectly honest with you. If I had my way and I was one of the companies, I would try to get a Saturday morning or Sunday morning time slot again like they used to back in the day. And it doesn't have to be the same type of, maybe that's where you put the NXT brand, right? You could gear it more towards kids because you're jumping up and down and flying and doing all this stuff. There's no, real deep, dark storylines, really. There's no blood. So, why can't you put that on, say, an hour or two on a Saturday or Sunday morning and see what it does there?
Isn't that funny? Wrestling used to be, at least for us, based around, that Saturday morning type time slot, at least with WWF. Now there are no wrestling shows on the weekend anymore.
No, unless
other
it's
than
pay-per-view
pay-per-views. Yeah.
It's worth trying. I mean, I guess anything.
It makes it easier for people to watch.
Yeah, it most certainly does because you're not getting up early to go to work or whatever the case might be. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's for somebody else to determine. We're just a couple of schlups doing the podcast, but I think we kind of know what we're talking about in a sense. I do think, though, maybe we could talk about this a little bit more after our break. But I think with all these releases and what they're doing with NXT, I think it's going to be a shot in the arm for the independents around the United States and the world.
Well, I can see 2 trains of thoughts. The problem is they're signing up so many of the indie guys. I think it's going to hurt the independents, and then they're releasing so many, but these guys are going to want more money at that point where they've had some exposure, whether it be limited or, in someone like Bobby Fish's case, more exposure than others, but, a higher price tag, which is going to increase the cost of presenting the event.
Well,
I hope AEW, I don't think they realize if they decide to sign all of these guys that they put on their marathon internet shows, they're really going to hurt the independents, and that is the feeding system for the future of wrestling in 3, 4, 5 years from now.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't shoot themselves in the foot, and neither should WWE.
No, what I think, if I was one of these guys or girls that have just been released, I would start looking around now. You got 30 days. Most of them are on a 30-day non-compete because that's what the NXT contract was.
Right, yeah.
You got 30 days. Get your Pro Wrestling Tees store ready, the whole 9 yards, your new name. Start to market yourself online. Start taking a look around at what independents are going. and just take as many bookings as you can, and don't jack your price up because you're not going to get any bookings. There's no money to be thrown around on the independents, but there's a way to make money on the independents. If you say, for instance, if you're a Bronson Reed, don't take more. Don't ask for $500 to $1,000 because you're not going to get it. You might get some mark to give it to you, but that one payday isn't going to set you for life. Find somebody that's going to give you the guaranteed 150, 200, get a good gimmick table going with your merch, and then have 3 or 4 shows a week. And that's how you're going to make your money.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right about that. You look at someone like Strowman. I mean, it's not like I sat down and had a conversation with the man, but you hear those rumors, and it's a complete turnoff before the conversation even begins.
Yeah, if there's somebody that wants $25,000, I mean, Jesus, I don't even know if Ric Flair and Sting are getting that much per appearance. So why Strowman thinks that he could get it. And again, that's rumor and innuendo. I don't know. But, that it's just ridiculous.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you want to go through some of the releases where we've talked so much NXT before the break and just kind of get NXT completely out of the way before we move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
To me, there were some names I really didn't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
The ones that stood out to me, obviously, Bobby Fish, who's competed here in Boston Wrestling before. If he decided to go back to New York, he's someone I'd love to have here in the MWF again, if he was reasonable.
Yeah.
Good guy.
He's a good guy. I foresee him. He's a little bit older. And I could foresee him being one of those guys that's going to ask for a lot of money and say, "Hey, look what I've done in the past few years. I deserve to get $500-600 a pop." I don't know.
He was also injured a lot too, which took away from that exposure compared to the other guys in the faction. And that's not a knock to Bobby. It's just guys get injured. As they say, it's not ballet. Mercedes Martinez, who actually main evented a Boston Wrestling MWF show back in 2002 against the future Velvet Sky, then known as Talia. Would you like to see her?
Was that a special guest referee spot with Judas Young?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember that show.
I do too.
I got a couple stories. What's funny is we talked weeks ago, back when New Jack passed. That was the same show that New Jack showed up at, wasn't it?
That was. Yes, it was.
Yeah. That's funny.
That was quite a day.
I'm a big fan of Mercedes. I've been around since her day one when she was going to Jason Knight's wrestling school in Waterbury, Connecticut. I watched her walk in the door and seen what she's done from day one. I'm a fan of hers. She's somebody that I would want on my team just for not so much for name value, but you're going to get a good showing out of her and somebody that is positive on your team, and that's what you want is positivity in your locker room. So yeah, I would definitely bring her into to a show that I was running.
From my limited interactions with her, I remember her to be a pretty nice lady.
Yeah, and I mean, and that was she was so young back then too, or I was in the sense of young in the business.
Yeah.
So I think she's gotten 100% better. And I'm glad to see that she got a little bit of a rub with what she did with WWE.
Oh,
I just think
that's better forgotten what she did with Retribution.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, she just is coming off of that concussion, so she may have gotten released because of maybe she can't work. I don't know. Who knows?
And really, other than that, the only one that really stood out to me that I was kind of surprised was Bronson Reed, where he had some size.
Yeah, I think what was the detriment to him was he went up and did a couple dark matches, and I think everybody found out what I had already known is that he can't cut a promo and he can't talk for himself, and that's 90% of the game is being able to talk people into chairs. So I think Vince took a look at him and said, "Yeah, let's move on."
Who would have thought? Maybe a manager would have helped. That's a different story for different times.
But again, look how they use managers. They got this bonehead Robbie E down in NXT who
and
gets
what a wasted talent.
It really is. Like he could definitely talk, and I don't mind him doing this whole Robert Stone brand. But why are they bringing people in and out? They have no idea what the faction is or who he represents. They make him look like a goofball, and like you said, it's a waste. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, I think I know I've said it on, I don't remember what show where we have so many, but I mean, the fact that TNA will let wrestlers use gimmicks that were created there, I mean, to have Robbie E and DJZ on your roster, and one of the few things that TNA Impact had that was over, and you have them in these lifeless, boring roles. I mean, I think the fans would enjoy DJZ and Robbie E together again. I don't know, one man's opinion. I think it would be more colorful and have more life than Robert Stone and what the hell is DJZ's name? Jakeem Wild or something like that?
Yeah, Joaquin Wild, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Lifeless.
I don't know.
I mean,
yeah, very much
it's
so.
not a knock against him. It's just boring to me.
Yeah, it's they're trying to make him out of something that he's not. I don't know why they bring people in and try to give them new characters and new things to do when it's just not them. You know, the best character is kind of an extension of your own personality with the volume turned way up. And unfortunately, a lot of the guys and girls these days just don't do that.
No, I think they could get much more mileage out of DJZ. Is DJZ or Z Marion or one of his former personalities that had so much color and so much life to it. Great personality. You know, he really can go when the bell rings, in this modern style in 2021, I guess maybe is the best way to describe it. But other than that, anyone on the 13 releases that you're going to miss, that you think they should have kept, that you think is going to find great success elsewhere?
I mean, I hope a lot of them find great success elsewhere. I mean,
but do you think they will is the question.
I don't know. I just don't think so. There's nobody on there that really sticks out in my head that's going to, if they show up on, say, an AEW TV or an Impact TV where everybody's going to start going bananas. Like, I just don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Well, as someone that's on the board of directors here in Boston Wrestling, you know, not that we would ever tamper with a contract, but is Bronson Reed someone you'd have an interest in?
Right off the bat, well, here's the thing. I don't, like, you can't use the Bronson Reed name that I know of. I'm not sure about that, but I know that Bobby Fish used his name before. Mercedes Martinez used her name before.
I think that's his biological name.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that, but, you know, we'll talk a little bit about that after the, remind me after the break, because we'll go into that a little bit. But I think I would build my card, and then if I needed some spots to be filled, maybe I could throw one of those guys on there like a Bronson Reed to maybe just add some extra value to it. I know I'm going to get a good match out of it, but am I going to build something around them? Probably not.
All right, wrestling fans, we would love to know what you think. If you are with us here at the initial 10 p.m. premiere of Wrestling Insider Stern But Fair, share your thoughts in the premiere chat box, or if you're watching after the fact, in the comment section below. If you're having some fun, give us a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It is absolutely free. It lets YouTube know you enjoy what you're doing, so they can showcase all of our great nightly programs to wrestling fans from the 80s and the 90s that jumped ship and left the genre. They don't know about us, but I think once they find us, they'll love us. Right now, we're going to take a brief time out. Don't forget about this man, The Fiend. You might not be able to see him in WWE, but how about on your wall? Check it out. All right, let me cut.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Here's your chance to own a piece of history from the 2020 WWE Draft. On the second night, October the 12th, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Alexa Bliss unleashed hell on Andrade and Zelina Vega. This limited edition 11x14 collector's poster is number 26 of only 50 made, personally signed by both The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, direct from friends at WWE. Comes with certificate of authenticity hologram on the poster itself, suitable for framing. You'll also receive a bonus autographed mystery photo and an on-air shout-out as our thanks to you. Get this ultra-rare autographed Fiend and Alexa Bliss poster now. Tickets are on sale now at BostonWrestling.com for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s WrestleFest, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Mass. The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Miami Arena in Miami, Florida, Friday, August the 8th, 1997. In the opening contest, Rockabilly beat Flash Funk. D'Lo Brown and Kama battled Crush and James to a double countout. Rocky Maivia victorious over Farouk. WWF European Champion Davey Boy Smith retained the title over Goldust. Mankind defeated Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Savio Vega and Miguel Perez Jr. with the win over Owen Hart and Brian Pillman. Ken Shamrock beat Vader, and in the main event, The Undertaker victorious over WWF World Champion Bret Hitman Hart via disqualification. If you were in Miami Live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll Journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to Wrestling Insiders Stern but Fair, our first 10 p.m. edition. It's interesting to see what your reaction is going to be to having us a little later at night, like the rest of our talk shows. It only seems to make sense where every other night during the week, the shows premiere at 10 or 11. Why not Stern but Fair, too, on a non-pay-per-view Sunday, I guess?
Yeah, hey, you know what? We can do whatever the hell we want. And you know what? We're gonna go we're gonna go on a little bit later, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be what and I mean this in all the best way, but as people are starting to wind down and get into bed and they need something to listen to or something to watch on YouTube, we're going to be the ones that they wind down to.
Well, you know what? If you look at the rest of the great content we have during the week, why not? As I've told fans, this may be my favorite show. I'm probably the most relaxed during the week with all the shows we have. During this one, as it's always great to talk to you as we get ready to go back to the 80s, November the 13th. At Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, our home venue. Even though you are a long-tenured MWF veteran, I don't believe you ever competed in that venue.
I mean, you would know better than I would. I don't know what I had for breakfast yesterday, let alone years ago.
I don't think the Tiger has ever made it to our Madison Square Garden. So November 13th, we'll have to see what happens. It's going to be very interesting.
What was the building that you ran up there where it seemed to be like a big, like a big gymnasium type thing, but the locker room was down the stairs underneath, but you could go all the way through the catacombs of the building and up through the other side. Do you remember which one I'm talking about? That was Wakefield. Was it Wakefield? Yeah. Okay. I just, for some reson, that building sticks out in my mind. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the back hallway or whatnot, but I don't remember who I worked that day, but I remember one of the spots was I hightailed it out of the ring and we
no. That was the Lynn Armory.
Was it the linoleum?
That was the
Okay.
that had catacombs too. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot.
That's funny.
I like that building an awful lot. It's a shame that the Armories, became kind of difficult to rent, but it is what it is. We look forward to returning to Memorial Hall. We've been having some challenging times with Memorial Hall. The director there is, we're not going to say on the air even at 10 o'clock, but I'd love to see a Tiger Mauler in real life. If maybe she was to join Joe Exotic on the Netflix series, but again, different story for different time. Trying to sort out all the details, but no matter who's running the venue itself is absolutely fantastic. I think you're going to love it on November the 13th, Tiger, along with Jake the Snake Roberts, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Axe and Smash Demolition, Marty Jannetty, and a host of others as we go back to the 80s and remember the good old days of pro wrestling. Those VIP fans, they get the exclusive Q&A session with the legends. We got the autograph photo fan fest. The VIPs have access to a group photo with all the legends at the same time, plus a hot night of in-ring action. It is going to be a happening again. Discounted tickets now through SummerSlam Saturday, BostonWrestling.com. Save a few bucks.
Yeah, I mean, hey, people get on it now. You don't want to wait till the last minute. Get them while they're hot, because trust me, you're going to be sitting around one day and say, oh, I want to go get my tickets. Let me get on there. And they're going to be all scooped up. So don't wait for that day.
Biggest advance in Boston wrestling history.
That so far?
Yes.
Oh.
We were.
Can you indulge what it is or no?
No. I'll tell you this. The original date, obviously, was April 2020.
Right.
And 5 weeks out, we hit our biggest advance ever. And you are smart enough to know that usually it's the last couple of weeks when those pre-sales really come in. So my brain was orgasming the closer we were getting. And then, unfortunately, something called coronavirus came into our world and pushed the event out a year and a half. But that only makes it more special because back to the 80s, WrestleFest doubles is our 20th anniversary. And you, a man that began his undefeated streak, his lengthy undefeated streak on that very first event.
I've never lost. I'm still undefeated. I'm still the world champion. Never been defeated.
I think Viking Raider Ivar might have something to say about that, but
he cheated.
Well,
the referee was blind. I had my foot in the rope.
Is that what it was?
I just remember I've been cheated. Always cheated, never defeated. Tiger Mulligan.
That had nothing to do with your championship situation, though. But again, different story for different time. Speaking of champions, what about the Nature Boy Ric Flair? Stick a fork in him, he's done.
I mean, I don't know. Hey, listen, I'm a huge Ric Flair fan. I'll never say anything bad about him, but as whatever they were paying him to be on the payroll, it's not a loss, really, because what was he really doing? So,
and you want to know what's funny? I was told he was making gigantic money.
Like what? Was it
more than
$1 million bucks?
I don't know if quite that much, but more than the majority of the regular roster members.
Wow. I mean,
which I think shows at least the respect they had for him. But at this point, where they're cleaning house and he wasn't happy about being there, good God, let him go.
Yeah, I mean, but like, what's he not happy about? He's making $1 million to do nothing. So like, what?
I think I'm sure between his WWE money and what he would do when he go out to conventions and autograph signings, and he's got that. Is it a car insurance commercial that he's doing now that I've seen?
I'm sure. Yeah, I think he's got a few things out there.
Yeah, I'm sure he's well into the seven figures. I know he does those little cameo videos for $500 a pop. So the Nature Boy is, for all the money he's lost over the years drinking and living the life, he's doing all right for himself in his early 70s. And honestly, if he can get it, good for him.
Yeah, I mean, I just wish I had 10% of whatever he spent on alcohol through the years in my bank account right now. Let's just leave it at that.
No kidding, right?
Yeah.
This is something I'd love to have at the Back to the 80s event, but I mean, just such a big expense,
The problem with that is do I think you can make money off of it? Yes, but it's such a gamble because it's something that you want to do for the fans. It's something that the fans want to see, but at the same time, it is a business. We need to be there to make a little bit of money and some profit so we can keep everybody working throughout the years And it's such a gamble at that point where you just don't have that guarantee, and it's a hard expense to swallow.
That's why fans, I'll tell you this, if the fans head on over to bostonwrestling.com and they buy the VIP packages and the VIP packages sell out, I will bring them Ric Flair.
Well, I mean,
you have heard it right here. It's not in writing, but it's verbally being said. If they show that commitment that they want to come to the event that bad and meet legends like that bad, I will bring them Ric Flair.
Well, you know what's? Hey, listen, toy companies like Mattel do stuff like this all the time, where they'll put out. I think they even have one out now where you can do what's called backing a toy or something like that. They have out a ring, like a new ring with a new stage setup.
with Diesel.
With Diesel, yeah.
And then if it reaches a certain amount of people, you get a doink.
Doink, yeah.
And if it reaches a certain amount of people, you get like a, what do they call it?
Ring skirts.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool looking. I like it.
So
I didn't realize it was as much as it was, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's $250, but if they get enough people to back it, then those people that actually spent the $250 get everything that's there. It's basically the same thing where, hey, listen, if you want to see somebody like a Ric Flair, let's scoop up those VIP tickets, and then my man Dan is going to bring you Ric Flair.
Well, you know what? As I'm looking right now, they have about 14 days left on this drive, and they're about halfway there.
Ooh, well, I think something like that might, at the 7-day mark, if they're not up to at least 75, 85%, they're not going to hit it.
Well, you know what's interesting? They've added some goods to it, though. You also get
you get a new Macho Man with it, right?
Yeah. They added the WrestleMania 10 attired Macho Man and the ring announcers table.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, just for that alone,
I'd kind of like to get that for the set. It wasn't so much.
I'll be honest with you. I've been going back and forth. I've been thinking about getting actually a couple of them. This is what I would do, because it's a limited thing. They're gonna do, say if they hit the 5,000 they need, they're gonna do 5,000 and no more. They're not gonna ever do it again. So I could take one and flip it and probably make double my money back, and then I just got two for free. So that's the kind of the thinking I'm going on with it.
Nicholas, you're a hustler. I love you, kid.
Hey, I'm always a carny at heart, my man.
No, you're a good human being. You don't need to go that route. I think the carnies are a turnoff, but again, that's a different story for a different time. But, you know, maybe this is something we should get for our set. I think it'd look kind of cool.
I think it would be.
The set actually lights up, or the entranceway, I should say, actually lights up.
It does. It does light up, and then there's the ring where it actually looks like it's got boards underneath it, and everything's to scale. It's got the WWE logos on the turnbuckle pads. It's a cool setup. If I was a kid, I would definitely want to play with it.
Yeah, but I mean, if your kid wanted it, would you spend $250 on a ring for him?
Well, here's the thing. If it was, I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on my guy for, like getting all these different things. If there was
you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on toys for your son?
Yeah, I'm
what are you buying him?
If there's
hundreds of thousands of dollars?
I'm telling you right now, like every time I go into Walmart, I'm buying something. So I'm one of those fathers that wants to spoil my son rotten, and trust me, he's getting spoiled rotten.
Linda Marty gets furious with me at birthdays and Christmas if I drop a G, and you're dropping hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Not in one clip, but I'm teasing.
How old is he?
He's turning 8 in February. He's been collecting these things since he was, I don't know. I remember his.
That's 12. That's almost $1,000 a month in toys every month of his life.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I'm over exaggerating a little bit, but
I'm gonna say.
Well, we're
Adopt
it's getting up there. It's getting up there. I mean, it certainly is. It's crazy.
Is he
even just today? I got him 3 different things. So
is he a big fan of the WWE wrestling guys?
He loves the Mattel figures. He loves the action figures. Watching WWE right now, it's a little tough for him. He doesn't. He says he loves it, but he doesn't really choose to watch it. He enjoys AEW a little bit more.
Wow!
But he has actually been watching the network quite a bit. So he's been going back and watching some older stuff these days.
Baby Marty, I think, sees much more of it on YouTube and so on than he does actually sitting down and watching the show. He's been exposed to AEW a little. He couldn't believe the death match with Jericho and Chris Gage. He'd never seen anything like it before, which I thought was kind of funny. But you know, he's getting out of the toy age, but he still likes to play the video games, loves going to the live events. WrestleMania was a real treat for him. So
yeah, no, he's my guy is a big fan of the video games. We're actually waiting for 2K22 to come out, and whatever.
I'll have to see if I can get you a link.
Yeah, please.
Is that the right word? I don't even know.
I have no idea.
Well, the one where instead of the physical disc, they give you some kind of code. I don't know.
I see that. I don't know.
And you download it.
Yeah, see, I've never done anything like that, so I don't want my PlayStation blowing up. I like the cartridge myself too. And we don't do much online stuff as far as video games go.
But for the last one, what was the last one called? Battlegrounds, kind of like that NBA Jam game when we were kids.
It's a good game, man. I enjoy it.
But instead of the disc for Baby Marty, they just emailed me some link for him to use, and he downloaded it and he loved it.
Oh well, hey, if it works, and there you go. It's a good game. It's fun.
Well, I got some big news for you.
Okay.
You won't believe who just showed up here at the studio.
Marjo and John Cena.
Louie himself, Adam Lou, the newest member of the Boston Wrestling Sports team. He is going to be helping on the endeavor that probably is ended by the time you guys are hearing this tonight. But he has been a big help in recent times since he has come to the studio. For some reason, he's actually standing over me, which I don't know why. It's rather uncomfortable and awkward, but yeah.
I can hear him in the background. Big shout out to Louie Lou.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm sitting down if he's looking for a little fellatio or something. It was kind of an awkward scenario there for a minute, Tiger. I don't know if it was like when you were back at the hotels with those pigs behind the counter, but that's all right.
Well, see, I would never have a Louie Lou coming over. I maybe have a Louise, but not a Louie Lou.
Well, we have a Louise here at the studio, but I don't know if you'd be interested in that one. She's 84, but...
Is she the douchebag that is always cleaning when you're trying to get your podcasting and editing done?
You know, I have to say they're actually very, very nice. I mean,
of course they are.
They're semi-dwarfs, but there's a younger one that speaks semi-decent English. The mother, barely any English. But then they bring the grandmother with them. And the only analogy I can give is, did you ever see the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yes.
Do you remember Grandpa?
See, I don't want to get my movies mixed up, but is Grandpa the one would just sit there and laugh and smile? And
he was just kind of lifeless, and one of the kids put a hammer in his hand and picked it up and smashed someone with it. He was so lifeless. There's this old one that you say hello, and there's kind of like a half smile, but no verbal communication. I don't understand it, but that's every other Sunday. So this week we didn't have to deal with them. Myself and my good friend that we have here at the studio, the French douchebag is his nickname. But he's a fine gentleman. He's helped me a lot with financial wisdom. He's a good man, and he likes to play what we call French fuck music in the background.
So he's a douchebag, but a good man.
Well, see, here was the problem. You know me. I am not a morning person. Especially after the accidents I was in and I had post-concussion syndrome. You know, it messes with your head.
Sure.
Sounds and so on. I don't know if he has hearing problems, but there are times I'd come into the studio in the morning and he'd have on like Fox Business on volume level 82 on a 60-inch television screen. And I'd start to see lights out of the corner of my eyes. And so that's where the nickname developed for him. But now that the television issue has been taken care of, he is a good, fine, high-quality human being, even though the nickname is stuck. You know us, even though he doesn't know that's his nickname, which is probably for the best.
Yeah, I would assume so, yes.
I would not want to be referred to as the French douchebag by anyone, to be quite honest. And then be told at the same time he's a hell of a nice guy.
He's a great guy. You said that's like something Bobby Heenan would do.
But at one time, he really was a French douchebag. Now he's a friend of the family, so to speak.
Now he's just I don't know
what happened to Lou. Lou came in, Then I mentioned I made the fellatio joke and he vanished. I don't know if he went into the studio to get things ready for the live
You
stream
embarrassed him.
or what. Well, considering no one oh, here he comes. All right. No, I was just saying you vanished. No one knew where you went.
I'm just looking at the lights and stuff like that. I want to borrow some lights.
Oh, you want to borrow some lights. All right, well, it's good. We'll let the audience know that you want to borrow those lights. Glantz has some of the lights. But we won't talk about him. He's still on the shit list after what happened to Wrestle House this week. But did we miss anything on the hit list? We had a couple of deaths this week, which were pretty sad.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had, I don't know, go through them. I can't even remember.
Well, we had the assassin, beautiful Bobby, and the assassin, Jody Hamilton. Who was much long before our era. What a monster draw he was down south.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard much to do about Jody Hamilton, but Bobby Eaton, I've heard nothing but praise for my entire career. Never had the chance to meet him, which is unfortunate. But I hear that he was a great guy, and he's going to be sorely missed. And now you sing to yourself. Is this with him with Lord Regal?
No, the Midnight Express. How dare you?
I mean, you're out of tune. I couldn't understand you.
Well, I tell you, I don't think there's going to be a pretty wonderful reunion on any conventions where we lost poor Paul Orndorff a few weeks back, and now the assassin who managed them for a short spell, Paul Orndorff, is the final remaining member of a Pretty Wonderful from the mid-'90s WCW.
Paul Orndorff or Paul Roma?
Remember when they teamed? And the assassin managed them?
I don't remember the assassin managing
It wasn't long, but yeah, he managed them for a short spell.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I do remember them as a team, though, because that was towards the end of Orndorff's career, wasn't it? That's when his arm was really starting to atrophy.
It was the end of Orndorff's career physically, and it was the end of Roma's career personality-wise after he hit his pay-per-view issue with Alex Wright at Super Brawl 5, but we'll have to save that for another episode. But
I mean, he never did it for me.
Poor Bobby Eaton, his wife just passed away, I think, 2 weeks ago, who was the daughter of the legendary Bill Dundee down in Memphis. Yeah. Bobby had a lot of health issues in recent times. Should I even say it? I will. Someone within the industry hinted that they wondered if it may have been a suicide. I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't hear that. I sure hope it wasn't. I know that he was having some issues himself as far as medical stuff goes.
It seems like he's had health problems for 15 years or so. He hasn't been, the pillar of great health, but really sad. I mean, again, almost talking about what we were at the beginning of the show with NXT. I mean, he's not someone that WWE would go out of their way and sign and, say he's a superstar. But I mean, just from when we were kids, or at least when I started watching, what a fantastic worker he was, whether he teamed with Dennis Condrey or Stan Lane. He even tagged for a short spell in '93 with Chris Benoit that people probably don't remember because it wasn't very long.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah. It was it may have been a pay-per-view. For some reason, it sticks out to me. I remember them working Scorpio and Bagwell when they teamed. Maybe it was a TV and not a pay-per-view. But Benoit,
no, wait a minute. Was that a Clash of the Champions?
Maybe that was it. I do remember the match.
I remember that. I think I remember that.
Yeah, and like you said, he even had kind of that comical role towards the end where they had him and Regal together as the two Englishmen. And a shame. WCW, they almost, I don't want to say it was exactly a gift, but they didn't do much with him after that.
Right.
The Lords, whatever, did they have a name? The Blue Bloods.
Blue Bloods, yeah.
Yeah, he was around until that massive firing took place after they got rid of Bischoff, and probably, what almost has been like the past year or two with WWE when they got rid of probably around 40 people. I know Jim Mitchell and I talked about that on the recent Wrestling Insider Special Edition episode, which is available on the YouTube channel right now. Sinister Minister was a great interview. We hope to have more of him talking about his times in Smoky Mountain, ECW, WCW, TNA, even Impact. He even did a wedding on AEW. What an interesting career he's had. Great guy if you've never met him. But Bobby Eaton, I don't remember ever meeting Bobby. I've heard a lot of great stories about him.
I just remember everybody who ever told me a story would be the one story they always go back to was if you needed something, whether it be a roll of tape, an aspirin, a blade, a pair of boots, something. He had this bag. It was like a big hockey bag, and he just had everything in that bag. Where if you forgot something, he'd have an extra there for you. And that's everybody's always said that. I get a chuckle out of it.
Well, you know what? Good for Bobby Eaton. He's going to be missed, and for longtime fans, older fans, I'm sure losing the assassin meant an awful lot to them. There was a guy that main evented a lot of shows long before you and I began our great swim into the universe. But, you know, I hate to lose anyone in this industry.
I think the biggest thing that I dislike about the whole Bobby Eaton thing is that to me he's a Hall of Famer, even just for the midnight run that he had.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to end up inducting him, whether it be this year, next year, 3 years from now. But he's not going to be there to accept it, and I hate that. I wish they can get people that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame into the Hall of Fame while they're alive, and they could get their just due. And it's not like a memorial service at that point. So it's too bad.
I don't think they should have even had the Hall of Fame this year, in my opinion.
I mean,
it
is what it is.
I think it was a waste. I don't think anyone cared. And I love even though they can be kind of lengthy and they can be at times long in the tooth, sometimes with people that don't even deserve the spot compared to others. But I truly enjoy it. I think I've gone every year that we've done the WrestleMania experience because I like to give a tip of the cap to those that have done so much in the industry. But I think doing it in front of no fans, it wasn't even live. It was pre-taped, Ozzy Osbourne doing almost like he was taking a selfie in his backyard. I mean, why not just hold off and wait until you can have the fans again? One man's opinion. I'm sure there's some that enjoyed it, but, just not for me.
Well, I think I love the Hall of Fame. Don't get me wrong. I look forward to it every year. This year, I thought it was too much of a TV show at that point. I didn't really enjoy it too much this year. Obviously, they were trying to cram 2 years into one.
Yeah, just a complete waste.
And even just over the years, how overproduced it's become. Like why not just shrink it down to say 3-4 guys tops? Let them have their time to really talk and get about their careers and their thank yous out. Give them a little bit of a time frame to do it. You don't need Mr. T going on hours and hours, thanking his mommy or, Hillbilly Jim. I think his speech is still going on.
I remember that one. I remember that one. Dear Lord, I remember the little Adam Lou's friend, the little Dutch boy, was there for that one when Hillbilly Jim put I think it was the Amway Center in Orlando to sleep. Was that Orlando?
Brutal. I don't remember. I think it was. But it was brutal. But at the same time, I'm happy he got to say what he wanted to say, and he got it all out. It's supposed to be a decorated special time, and it just again has become too overproduced in my eyes.
Yeah, no, I agree.
When you need somebody to sit down with you and say, "Here's your speech," and they write it for you, and you really don't have much input on it, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. All right, well, before we go and I get ready to tape something that the fans have already seen, most likely, any other news, thoughts in the world of professional wrestling?
Well, I think that now that the Olympics are winding down, we have a couple gold medalists that are coming out of the Olympics that, one from the men's, one from the women's that I could see Vince McMahon perhaps trying to get on top of these guys and bring them over to WWE. And, the one gold medalist for the men's, Gable Stevenson, he's a 260, 70-pound guy who could do a back spring hand flip and really glide in the air. And I think Vince is drooling all over him. Well, I think you're going to see him very soon.
I wonder if our good friend Jerry Briscoe is on a covert assignment with any of these Olympian wrestlers, where that was kind of his gig.
It used to be his gig. I can't say for sure if he's got anything to do with it. But
our good friend Jerry Briscoe.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, Jerry. I've been around Jerry a bunch of times. He's definitely got a dry sense of humor. He's definitely very squeamish. So don't let him start puking around you, because I've seen that a couple times as well. But he's a great guy, yeah.
Well, fans, if you want more of Jerry Briscoe, check out Wrestling Insider Special Edition. He joined us at Wrestle House in Tampa. He was with us in the Big Apple, New York City, WrestleMania 35 weekend, which was kind of interesting and fun for me, having to bounce in and out of the WWE hotel to get him. But we are running out of time, folks. This week, we got to get the cheap plugs in again. If you want to have a home, a man cave like we have for a set on our regular talk shows, head on over to the Boston Wrestling eBay store. You can find the link in the description box below. If you want to be more than just a fan, if you want to be more than just a friend of everything we do here in Boston Wrestling, join the Boston Wrestling Patreon family. At patreon.com/Boston Wrestling, you get early ad-free access to our weeknight Wrestling Insider talk shows. You get access to our studio shoot interview DVD library that's been seen by millions online and millions more on the Howard Stern Show, thanks to old Sheiky Baby himself. You get some Patreon exclusive videos, plus the knowledge that you are helping keep wrestling legends working. Plus, if you were a local fan, you had the pre-sale ticket offer for Back to the 80s, November the 13th. We try and take care of you because we love you. If you can't remember the link, patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Adam Lou just gave me the signal that you can find it in the description box below. And now, even beyond the Patreon, getting the big push, because this one we're going to push like a woman trying to get the baby out of the womb. Saturday night, November the 13th, Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, baby. Boston Wrestling MWF turns 20 years old. It's almost old enough to drink as we go back to the 80s with WrestleFest. Jake the Snake Roberts, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Axe and Smash Demolition, Marty Jannetty, a sixth superstar that will be announced on SummerSlam Saturday when the ticket prices go up, along with more. It is going to be a happening. VIP exclusive Q&A. You get a group photo with all of the legends if you're a VIP. Plus, you get autographs, photos. You get autographed individual pictures with these superstars. You're going to get a hot night of in-ring action that's going to blow the roof off of Memorial Hall. And I'm telling you this, Tiger, if you can just grow those claws and maul what sits in the corner office of that building, I would be grateful to you forever. Someday I'm going to do an interview just on our history with Memorial Hall, what it took to get into this venue, to present the fans with fine wrestling. I can't even talk, I'm so excited, but all-inclusive VIP packages and event tickets are on sale now at a discounted price through SummerSlam. BostonWrestling.com. Just look for the logo. Click it. It'll take you right there. We've got on the Facebook page over 1,000 fans that say they're either going or interested. The VIPs are going fast, baby. It is a hot time. It's an exciting time. As Dr. David Reese says, the talk shows are fun. The fans get into it, but it's time to get back to business inside the squared circle. Even Alex Fan is ready.
Hey, everybody's ready. I'm ready. I'm more than ready. I can't wait to get up there and see everybody, and maybe the Tiger might be on the prowl.
Well, we'll have to see how many MWF originals come back that night. Maybe we should invite some oldie but goodies.
Well, I mean, you got heat with everybody, so I don't know.
Who, me?
Well, I can't foresee Dylan Cage coming back.
I'd like to see Dylan Cage die, but that's a different story for a different time.
He's an oldie but a goodie.
He's still trying to figure out why his eyes are 8 inches long and 8 inches wide.
Are those his eyes?
Yes, they is. He has kind of awkward big eyes.
He does. That could be from
almost cartoonish.
The peace pipe. It could be from whatever he's smoking out of his peace pipe.
When you've lived that long in a teepee, I don't know. I don't know. But in the wigwam.
Well, you got your cheap plugs in. Hey, follow me on Twitter at Tiger Mulligan. You can get us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your listen on. So when you're done watching us on the YouTube or in the Patreon, get in the car, drive around, and listen to us on your whatever podcast platform you have. Give us the old thumbs up, subscribe, 5-star review, so that way we can keep coming to you free of charge each week. And then look for me down the road within the next few weeks. We talked about my baby Mulligan. He and I are going to be starting a new podcast. It's going to be Banter with the Boys, and Boys is spelled with a Z. keep a lookout for that. We're going to be starting that very, very soon.
Now, do I get to be part of this?
Hey, if you are more than welcome if you'd like to be part of this.
Well, Linda Marotti says I am the world's oldest 12-year-old, so maybe I'd fit.
But hey, listen, we're going to be talking about everything. So it might not just be wrestling. It might be video games. It might be toys. It just might be everyday life. But through the eyes of a 7/8-year-old, I'm going to be guiding him through it. But he's got a lot to say, and I can't wait for that to kick off here on, very, very soon, wherever you get your listen on. Like I said,
fun.
It's going to be a great time. I'm
something different, too.
Very different.
All right, well, we'll make a new superstar. Baby Marotti cut his first promo on Paul Bearer, calling him a big pig. Back when he was 5 years old, after Paul Bearer insulted me, he wanted revenge for insulting his buddy Dan. But anyway, fans, running out of time. BostonWrestling.com. Get those tickets. We'll see you next Sunday night, 10 p.m., when Wrestling Insiders get stern but fair.
Bro.
Good night from Boston. Thank you for joining us. Please give the video a big thumbs up, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel to enjoy more great content. Don't forget, you can help keep wrestling legends working. Check out our eBay store and join the Boston Wrestling family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling so we can produce more in-depth shoot interviews.